Hello people, this is Ryder here with a written review of the Kamen Gaim Complete Selection Modification Genesis driver. Released on Premium Bandai in commemoration of the series' 10th anniversary, this product is a new collector grade release of the original DX toy back in late 2013. Taking a look at the box, it follows the standard box design that has carried over within prior CSM releases. The front of the box comprises of Zangetsu Shin alongside the name of the product and an embossed juice splash on the top. All sides of the box and the back comprise of the other new generation of Riders. Opening the setup, we have a styrofoam tray comprising of the contents of the set, the Genesis driver base itself, the Genesis core, 5 energy lock seeds, the kill switch, the belt straps, the belt back cover, and the instruction booklet for the set. Just like the Sengoku driver, this is of the US release, but the other half comprises of the Korean instructions too. First up, looking at the Genesis driver, while it is based on the mold of the DX toy, there have been slight changes to make its appearance more in line with the suit prop and to accommodate for specific features. Most obvious is that the red plastic base is now painted in a metallic red color, alongside the two grips of the driver being in silver paint with red paint accents. Some of the black pieces are also painted to blend in with the black plastic used on the back. The 3 straw pieces have also been filled out to complete the look. Function-wise, the first biggest feature is that the grip no longer has an ear-wrenching gearbox installed, one similar to the one installed in the Gokai Cellular Memorial Edition. Because of this, it makes pushing the grip in and out a lot more smoother than the DX release. Moving on to the belt straps for the Genesis driver, in CSM fashion, they are a severe upgrade from the original DX toys, as besides being more show accurate, they can be adjusted through the gray luggage straps and clipped on the back. With the belt cover, it has a Velcro strap on the back that you simply cover over the belt. These kind of straps, they are durable enough to not get stuck in position and allow adults to wear the driver more comfortably. Secondly, taking a look at this release's Genesis core, it differs from the release from the Sengoku driver, or since it's a driver component, it no longer has a weight to it, despite still containing the die-cast lock-on arm. However, this version of the Genesis core is fully matted out, even where you insert the lock seed, which was something that was opted out for the solo release. But do keep in mind when using this version in the Sengoku driver, since it no longer has a pin that presses the top pin of the Sengoku driver, it will not acknowledge the registration of the lock seed being locked on, to which in Bandai's words, immerses yourself more with how in certain episodes, the sound of the energy lock seed would be absent. I barely was able to find a lot of instances where it didn't play the sound. Last thing to look over are the 5 included energy lock seeds: Melon Energy, Lemon Energy, Cherry Energy, Peach Energy, and Dragon Fruits Energy. All 5 of these locks retain the changes from the prior CSM energy lock seeds, such as the transparent blue being darker, forgot to note that Dragon Fruits was not blue, the removal of the glitter injection, and the change of seamless clips. As such, Melon and Lemon have new spring engineering to them to cover up their hooks. Alongside that, all CSM energy lock seeds have a small button at the bottom, mostly for when the energy lock seeds are in their transformed state. Going over the sound patterns for the energy lock seeds, all of them include the sound of their activation when the pull tab is pulled, then pressing the back button of the lock seed will play 1 or 2 transformation callouts to switch between users. By default, all lock seeds are set at present world mode, which then by unlocking plays 2 variants of the crack opening. Melon and Dragon Fruits Energy, however, have a 3rd variant, allude to how they are activated in Movie Tyson Full Throttle. Holding down the back button is how you change modes, which the 2nd mode is Helheim mode, which changes the unlocking sound by playing a singular variant of the arms materializing. I've made the mistake of saying it was 2 in the original Sengoku driver video, so my apologies. The last 2 modes are the Jimba shortened modes for both the present world and Helheim, which play the same unlocking sounds from those prior 2 modes, but function differently when used in either driver. The last thing to look over is Ryoma's kill switch from episode 43, which was nicely replicated for this release. When pulling the pull tab out, with the press of the button, you simply get the sound of the activation of the switch. But if you were to hold the button down, you enter voice mode, allowing for you to play out the 2 sequences that the kill switch was featured. Then you can hold it back down to switch back to the normal mode. With that, we can move on with the Genesis driver, to which after placing in the 3 AA batteries, you can simply switch it on like so. To jump ahead, let's talk about the second big point with this release. The original DX toy had a juicer piece that physically went down when the grip is pressed in, which then retracts alongside the grip. Well, with this release, that entire feature has been removed and been substituted with a 100 LED panel, using the LED technology previously used in the Demon/Veil driver and the Vision driver. They were planning to do actual liquid at one point in production, which we would know how badly that could have gone. With the LED panel, the goal was to recreate the atmosphere of the liquid being poured into the belt, which is animated nicely. Alongside the centerpiece, the side straw also has an LED installed to enhance the environment of the driver more. But to look at the expanded content, we have 3 new buttons. The bottom right button is the BGM button, comprising of 10 tracks. Convert, Cover Up, Yggdrasil, Short and Full, Ankoku no Tairetsu, Kaijin Susujin, Kiwami no Mai, Shindo Gaim, Roshio, Genesis driver, and Evil Lair of Evil. Kiwami no Mai and Shindo Gaim are slightly different edits from the Sengoku drivers. Holding down the BGM button on either of these tracks allow for you to transform with that selected track. The button on its left is the sound effect button, which in a single press plays 2 sounds of the Genesis driver being held around, while holding down the button plays the sound of the driver being applied to the user's waist. The last button to go over is the dialogue button, which allows for you to cycle through phrases of the character whose mode you're in. Speaking of which, holding down the dialogue button is your mode change, comprising of 7 modes of each user of the Genesis driver: Takatora, Ryoma, Sid, Yoko, Kaito, Michi, Pekko, Mecha Ryoma, and normal mode. Within all but normal mode, you get to cycle through character lines from the following Gaim media: Kamen Gaim the series, ToQger vs Gaim Spring Vacation Combining Special, Gaim Great Soccer Battle Golden Fruits Cup, Driving Gaim Movie Tyson Full Throttle, Gaim Gaiden Kamen Rider Zangetsu and Kamen Rider Baron, and Gaim Gaiden Kamen Rider Duke and Kamen Rider Knuckle. Like the Sengoku driver, you can press the buttons together. This time pressing the BGM and dialogue buttons simultaneously plays out the character conversations as opposed to it being a dialogue skip, which honestly is fine for them taking out. Pressing the BGM button and the sound effect button allows for you to select up to 5 variants of the lock on announcement. Leaving it be plays as it does in the DX version. Holding it down once shortens the lock on announcement, then holding it down 2 to 3 times are the first 2 options I mentioned, just with the standby turned off, which when then held down up to 4 times turns off the announcement. So then you can insert the lock seed back in as if you previously have used it in a weapon. If you couldn't tell, the second and third options were added due to this release not having the standby off mode that the Sengoku driver previously had. Lastly, holding down the dialogue and sound effect button allow for you to change the grip sound, depending on which lock seed is used. You have 3 to 5 options. It should also be noted that the physical instructions have this section completely wrong, so attempt to follow through. To start off with the lesser ones, the 2 nuts and dragon fruits, not pressing anything plays out like usual. Holding it down once plays the shortened version of the grip announcement, then holding it down twice mutes the audio. Holding it down twice removes the announcement. For the other 4, however, for their 3rd and 4th options, they have the strong soda to play to replicate the multitudes of sound errors post-series. As you can see from the instructions, they read as if they parallel back and forth from each soda announcement. They do not. It's the weak expression first, then the strong one. Now with all the features out of the way, we can demonstrate the transformation process. Simply unlock the lock seed to your preferred setting, set it in the center of the Genesis driver, press the lock down, and push the lock open. Additionally, you can press the dialogue button to hear the henchman call out if you have not done so already with the lock seed. For the finishers, doing it once will give you the squash attack. In the case of Melon and Lemon Energy, they have two variants of the squash, and twice will give you the sparking. In addition, if you were to transform with the back button pressed prior, the attack sounds will have the addition of the character cry. With the Lemon, Ryoma and Kaito have one sole squash attack as opposed to when you don't have the voice activated. In the transform state, The sound effect button has additional sounds for 4 specific modes. ToQger's sound effect button plays funny phrases from the ToQger crossover in the summer movie. Ryoma has his in-suit abilities, Sid's is him dying, Michi once again has ToQger hallucinations, and normal mode has Tyrant's transformation into an overlord. When you're done playing, you can cancel the transformation by simply closing the lock seat back up and pressing or holding down the bottom button down to hear 2 variants of the transformation cancellation, which were newly added for these energy lock seats. But just like the single driver, if you want to hear the lock off announcement, press down the sound effect and BGM buttons and then unlock the lock seat. But let's not forget about the kill switch. With the implementation of an infrared sensor within the straw piece, when you line the sensor from the kill switch up to the Genesis driver, you've killed the belt, rendering it inactive and shuts the toy off completely, meaning you'll have to turn the toy back on to go back to playing with it as usual. The kill switch will shut off the functions of the Genesis driver in all but Ryoma's 2 modes, as that is in par with the show. Lastly, to brief over is the usage of the energy lock seats with the Genesis cord to make up the Jimba arms, to which we will do a simple demonstration of Gaim's and then the 2 novel exclusive ones. Overall, the CSM Genesis driver is a phenomenal final piece to the CSM Gaim line, but it's also the most polarizing one. Obviously, to go over the positives, it looks really nice, it has a good weight to it, it's more enjoyable to mess around with, the grip And this one actually has quality of life changes that were absent from the Sengoku driver, such as allowing the consumer to press the phrase button for the character to call a henshin during the no standby modes, as the Sengoku driver acts as having no standby as post-transformation. The other one being that the Genesis driver actually remembers the settings you put it on, because the Sengoku driver did not allow you to do that, as it only remembered it from the first slice. So I appreciate that they've changed it to be more free in terms of options and versatility. But on the flip side though, the BGM I think is fine for the most part. I think it would have been cool if we actually got at least one vocal song. If I had to choose, I would have chosen Never Surrender. But other than that, I think the BGM is fine. They made it a big deal that they managed to get the stock music. But the thing I really want to talk about though is that I feel the new additions to this driver were unnecessary. The infrared sensor, I mean, the kill switch is fun playing around with, but like, that's its sole purpose. They could have done something more necessary, like having 2 or more drivers being allowed to converse or something. I'm pretty sure the kill switch is able to like shut off multiple Genesis drivers, but it's just kind of like, feels overblown for nothing. The LED panel. Again, it looks impressive, but because of it tying itself so closely to the show, it can only display one color at a time, unlike the original DX toy being able to display a 7-color LED. Plus with Dragon Fruits, its 7-color LED display has been removed. In result, the LEDs kind of become an over-glorified display panel. Speaking of Dragon Fruits, I don't understand why they didn't try harder with implementing Tyrant into the driver. Yeah, cool, he has one sound to himself, but other than that, you can't properly replicate transforming into Tyrant, because they locked Dragon Fruits to be stuck with the strong Soda announcement, despite the fact that Duke had the weak Soda play when he performed the finisher for that movie. It's just a weird oversight that they originally did a good job at covering with the Sengoku driver, so it's disappointing for them to miss a crucial detail that could have made the set more complete. I feel like these points hurt more because of the fact that this driver is more expensive than the Sengoku driver, despite arguably coming with less things. But I get that this set in a way is way more standalone than the Sengoku driver, as the Sengoku driver obviously you needed to have 7 sets of. The Genesis driver you only need like 2 sets prior. Also, I need to address that it is completely backwards of Bandai to have gotten Ryoma's actor back for this toy, as he has committed some serious crimes against women. I think that honestly sours this release, and I cannot fault anyone for skipping this release because of his involvement. I absolutely do not condone his actions, and neither should you. But with that, if you didn't want to get the full Genesis driver set, you could either pick up the buckle edition of the driver itself, or the Lockseed Energy Lockseed set, if you were solely trying to complete the Jimba forms. Although a rocky conclusion, it was nice to have been a part of collecting the entirety of the CSM Gaim line for the 3 years it ran for. To which, that will have to do with this written review. This is Ryder, and I'll leave you people.